Hi folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful Pantry. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Crocktober Extravaganza 2021. This has been a great month full of crockpot or slow cooker meals that you can do for your family that range from starters all the way through desserts. There are so many cool things. So with all those great dishes that you've seen so far this month, you're going to ask Darcy, how are you going to compete? I'm not. I'm just simply going to add to the mix. Today we're doing a chicken cilantro chutney dish that is perfect for a quick afternoon prep because it doesn't take that long to cook. It doesn't take all day. It's going to be about 4 to 5 hours at the longest, depending on your slow cooker. And it is an amazing meal that is so easy to put together. Yes, you heard the word cilantro. It's okay to replace that with parsley if you're one of the ones who has the genetic predisposition to dislike cilantro. Those of us who are blessed with the cilantro gene, feel sorry for you. But if you don't like cilantro, then you can just go ahead and just use parsley instead. So let's get started. By the way, remember, the recipe for this is going to be down in the description box below. And also at the end of this month, Jenny is being just so generous and doing a slow cooker giveaway. So you need to go through the entire month and watch all the videos, leave a comment on all of them. Then on the last day of the month, when she does her last video, she's going to take a random drawing for a video throughout the month. That random video will have a random comment chosen, and that person is going to win a slow cooker from Jenny. She's been really great, and I appreciate that she's willing to do this. So let's get started on our chicken thighs and with a cilantro chutney. Okay, to get us started, I've already cut up my onions. I've cut up my garlic. I'm about to do my pepper. So what I'm doing, because I know these are going to slow cook forever, I'm going to go ahead and just keep the rough chopped onions in my slow cooker just like they are. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and just do the garlic like it is. And when I serve this up for my husband who hates onions, but he likes onion flavor, I'll just be sure that when I pull out the chicken that I don't leave him any onions. My oldest son will eat all the onions. And none of us like the texture of eating a jalapeno that's been slow cooked in anything. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to take this pepper and I am going to pull out the seeds and the rib. And I'm going to put the peppers in just whole like this so that I can pull them out. They'll take the flavor. The meat will absorb all the flavor of the jalapeno, but it won't take the spice nor the texture of cooked jalapeno or anything, even in the dices. So we're just going to go ahead and do it that way for us. But if you were going to do this, you would dice up your jalapenos into small pieces and put those in as well. All right, so I'm gonna do the onions. I am not gonna bother browning up the onions. The recipe does call for you to brown your onions in the skillet, but I am choosing not to do that because I don't need to caramelize them ahead of time. What I can do is just stick them in the slow cooker along with my minced garlic and jalapeno pieces and just let them do their own thing in the slow cooker while I get my chicken ready. But if you wanted to follow along with the recipe, which I'll put down in the comments below, you can certainly brown your onions. Just caramelize them in some oil along with your garlic. You add it to it later. Get your garlic in there with it. You can also put your jalapenos in there and you do all your aromatics together. Just make sure not to over brown them. Then once they're done, if you wanted to, you could also put all of your chicken pieces in and kind of brown and caramelize them before you put them in the slow cooker. I am just not going to bother. It's one less dish for me to have to do. It's less time for me to have to worry about things. So we're going to stick with it just like this. I'm going to be a little less messy about what I do. All right. So there we go. I'm going to clean off my countertop and then I'm going to get the chicken ready. And we'll do that next. Okay, this recipe calls for 2.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken. Chicken thighs, sorry. You can certainly use boneless, skinless chicken, breast. You can use whatever kind of meat you have. The meat doesn't matter. If you want to put a bone in, you can. Then just make sure you cook it a lot longer. You're going to need at least 8 hours on low. But this is boneless, skinless because it was easy. I am not going to trim this except for some larger pieces of fat. But a little piece of fat here and there is not bad. and it adds a little flavor. But the larger pieces I'll go ahead and trim out. Then I'm going to cut these into 1.5 inch chunks. You don't have to be exact, just make them sort of bite size. That's all you need to do. So let me trim this out and I'll get these cut down and we'll go on to the next step. Now let's get all of our kitchen cleaned up for so that we don't have any transference of the chicken because you don't want that at all. Okay, here we go. One thing I forgot to add to the mix because I don't have any fresh is ginger. I only ever keep it handy in dried format like this. I keep some fresh in the freezer, but I didn't have any right now, but because I've got it dehydrated, here it is. So I put 2 tablespoons of dried in here, not because that's the equivalent, but because we really like ginger. So I added some extra, but you only need a tablespoon of freshly minced ginger to go in there as well. So all of our things are included. We're going to cook this on high for 4 hours, on low for 6 to 8, depending on your crock pot, depending on your slow cooker and how long that it safely cooks meat. Okay, after about, oops, didn't need the steam, did you? After a few hours, this is what it looks like. I know I originally said 4 to 6 hours. This was done much faster than that. I know it will depend on your, try to get you guys back in place here. It will depend completely on your slow cooker and how big you cook your chicken, but you don't want to overdo it. You know, you don't want to have it in there for 8 hours when it doesn't need to be that way for 8 hours. So let's get you started on this. When you're about 30 minutes away from dinner, this is the next step. This is the point where I put the quinoa or rice on the stove getting ready to cook. So it'll be ready by the time we do this. Then what we have next is 4 cups of loosely chopped cilantro. And yes, you can use parsley instead. So I've got 4 cups of loosely packed clean cilantro. It does not matter if you have some of the stems in. I just wouldn't keep the big heavy stems in, but I don't get super fussy about it. So that goes in there. Which you can get out. Then I have a cup of dry roasted peanuts. I happen to have salted ones because that's what I have. If you're allergic to peanuts but not tree nuts, you can use any other kind of nut. Then this is the salt and pepper I forgot to put in the chicken originally. I'm just going to go ahead and toss it in here. It'll still get about half an hour to salt things up. I need about 2 tablespoons brown sugar. Ooh, mine got a little hard. I wonder if the thing wasn't closed. That's okay. Ah, oh no, it's broken. Ah, that's why. How did I do that? Okay, so if you haven't seen the review on what I think about OXO containers, whatever you want to call them, they are not the best for food storage, okay? I've got a video how to create brown sugar. If you need to make some for yourself, I'll put it up in the iCards and in the description box below. But these are not my favorite containers for everything. Now I have brown sugar that evidently I didn't get the lid on correctly, or that actually is a crack. I'll check it in a minute. And this can be redeemed easily by putting a slice of bread or an apple slice or a marshmallow in here. It's not something that you have to throw away. It just needs a little moisture added. Well, I love them for a lot of things. I don't love them for everything. Then the last thing we need is about a tablespoon of lime juice, freshly squeezed. Freshly squeezed is best, but you can use whatever you've got if you don't have access to limes right now or whatever. So I have this little lime and lemon juicer. It's coming handy, especially as I'm getting a little older and my grip isn't as great. This, I don't know if you can see it in here, but it squeezes out the juice really, really well. And that was easily a tablespoon because we like a little lime with our food, or a little food with our lime. I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, now that all that's done, this is going to be pulsed. What you don't want to do is make this into a paste. What you want is kind of a loosely chopped thing. Okay, you don't want like a super paste. We're not making chimichurri here. We're just making, is that how you say it, chimichurri? We're not making that stuff. and that everything's pretty well incorporated. Show you again what it looks like. There you go. That's the finish. Now what I'm going to do is just put our mixture in. This would also work with orange juice if you'd like that instead, because you might like orange with chicken more than you like lime with chicken. Kind of adjust this however you need to adjust it. It's just, it's pretty flexible that way. All right, so all that's there. We're just going to stir this up, and in this last half hour or so, we're just going to let this cook. I'm not going to put it on high. I'm actually just going to keep it down on low because I want it to just absorb all the goodness from the cilantro. We're going to soften the peanuts, incorporate all the stuff to it. There you go. I'll get back to you when we're ready. Okay, we are all done. So here is what the chicken looks like. It's wonderful. And now I'm going to serve it up to see how you might like to do it. There's a couple ways that you can do this. First, I created a little street taco where I used some corn tortillas, filled it up with a little bit of the meat mixture, some quinoa that I had just created, topped it off with some fresh cilantro, and then did a cheese drizzle. I would use queso fresco or anything like that normally, but we don't have any, so I just grabbed some out of the refrigerator. So that was like a mixture of smoked Gouda that's shredded and some Colby Jack that I just put together. So this makes a fun little taco just like that. Or what I'm going to do is I have a bed of quinoa, and if anybody's wondering where the green powder is today, it's in here because that's where I put it when I made this. This is about 1/3 cups of vegetable stock, and then a cup of quinoa, and to that I added some mushroom powder, some green powder, and I don't measure, I just put it in there, and some salt, and that's how I make it. Let it cook until it's done. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and put a bed of this chicken mixture. So here we go, just like that. Then I top it off with a little fresh cilantro to mix in, and with both of these I can take some of the leftover lime juice that I had and just brighten it up a little bit right on top, just like that, and have an excellent meal. So there you go.